All right. Hello, hello. Happy full moon in Libra here in April. Great, great, great to have you. Today's yoga class is going to really be dedicated to helping you move through this full moon with ease and grace, because full moons can definitely be times for things to be stirred up and brought to the surface. And full moons are wonderful for really shining a light on the areas where you need to release things. Maybe you get an urge to declutter, especially in the spring. Maybe you start to realize, you know what? That friendship really wasn't healthy for me to be a part of. You start to realize, I don't need certain things in my life anymore. It could be habits that no longer serve your interest. You just don't feel good with them anymore. Maybe it's giving up caffeine, or maybe it's going to bed earlier. But you start to really discover, this is working for me, this isn't. And this week especially, we have certain moments in time where the universe will highlight for us what's working and what isn't, and also be very helpful in ushering out the door the things that don't help, especially if we've been tentative on letting go. We just don't want to release them. We're like, I don't know, it's not the best, but it's pretty good. If it's not broke, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But there's this joy, this potential of full happiness that you're missing out on when you hold on to the things that are just okay. So in today's class, we start to play with the physical experience of, okay, where am I holding on too tightly so that I don't feel in harmony and balance, and balancing on one foot might be tricky. What do I need to strengthen in other areas? Because you'll discover the beauty of working with the physical body to connect to these energetic experiences. If you're super tight in one area, you won't have the flexibility to lift your leg enough to balance in some of the poses. But then again, if you don't have the strength to sustain, the strength of the core and those outer hips, gluteus medius, you won't be able to balance. So there's this interesting dance between releasing and opening the areas that are so tight and holding on. That's where it's like, gimme, 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 gimme. I'm not gonna let go. Versus all loosey-goosey and no boundaries, where we're giving. And you just feel depleted. Like there's no way I'll ever find balance. This practice is to help you discover, where do I need to soften a little and let go? Where do I need to shore up and get a little stronger in order to find balance and harmony? And this is going to translate from the mat into your everyday life. And I'm going to guide you through some of the ways it might show up. But it's always so fascinating and interesting how it does when you're off your mat in everyday life. And it could be something as simple as realizing, when I was trying to balance in tree pose, I realized that I was kind of leaning too much to one side and I wasn't getting balance. It was feeling icky in my hip. But when I pulled everything to the center, when I strengthened my outer hips, when I worked, I'm really going for it, when I worked my core, then all of a sudden, it felt good. It didn't feel like I was struggling to sustain or hold the pose. So off the mat, you might have that aha moment where you're like, wow, you know what? By creating a budget, a structure around what I'm doing with my finances, I've really been able to just fill in the details, and it feels comfortable and good. It doesn't feel like such a struggle anymore of me just trying to hit approximate numbers. So this is one of the ways that it can show up. All right, let's get into the play of it. I'm going to have you just start in mountain Tadasana. The soles of the feet firmly planted, the toes pointing forward. Standing tall from the hips to the underarms, relax the shoulder blades down the back, and welcome in a few deep breaths. And exhale through the mouth. You inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. One more time like that. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Relax to your normal breathing. I'm going to do something I call backwards breathing. So it's really just meaning backwards because traditionally in many yoga classes, you tend to inhale when you open the chest and exhale when you round. But I want you to inhale almost on the rounded pose for this next series. So you feel how much air you can get into the back of the lungs. It's a ton. So beginning with the exhalation, draw your shoulder blades towards each other, look up to the sky a little. And on the inhale, round the back. Breathing into the back of the ribs. Exhale, draw the shoulder blades towards each other and down the back as you look up. And on the inhale, you round forward. Exhale, draw the heart open as you gaze up. Exhale, rounding forward. We'll do one more time. Inhale. The shoulder blades draw towards each other gently and down the back. And that's really what creates the opening in the heart rather than a pushing open of the chest. And on your next inhale, round forward. And then back to Mountain Tadasana. Adding on the inhale, sweep the arms high. And on the exhale, release just the arms. So we're linking movement and breath, because if you're not breathing a full deep breath, next inhale, reach up, then you're disconnected. And it's going to be very hard to find balance. It's going to be hard to tap into the courage of the tummy. Inhale, sweep up. And exhale, release. Good. This time, inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Now, as the arms come overhead, we're going to fire the core, the transverse abdominals, and get the back working for us a little bit more. By just for a moment, look towards your belly button, tip your thumbs more towards the sky as you move your waistline back, tummy's toned, and you're lengthening from the back of the waist all the way up to the thumbs, and feel that fullness in your back. Keep the fullness as you look forward and tip your fingers back to the sky. Keep the fullness, so that means just sides of the waistline moving back, core toned, and look up. Now on the exhale, hinging at the hips, slowly come forward, Uttanasana, forward bend. Head heavy and relaxed. Bend the knees, draw the belly in, and slowly roll all the way up. Inhale, sweep the arms high. Exhale, forward bend, Uttanasana. Bend the knees, draw the belly in, and roll all the way up. Inhale, sweep the arms high. Exhale, forward bend, Uttanasana. Bend those knees, draw the belly in, and roll all the way up. Adding on, inhale, sweep up. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. From here on the next inhale, lengthen the spine forward, and on the exhale, step back to plank pose. In plank, hold for a moment, toes spreading, tummy toning, strong arms, and relax between the shoulder blades just a little bit. This is great for strengthening the core. Good old plank pose. On the next inhale, lift up and back, downward facing dog. And in downward dog, just give your body a chance to wake up, bending the knees one at a time. So the calves, the soles of the feet, they get a nice stretch. Nice deep breathing. Even here, upside down. And one more time, each leg, doing great. And on the next inhale, shift back to plank. And from plank, table, knees down. And then the knees can walk forward just enough. So you're in this quadruped position, hands beneath shoulders, knees beneath hips. On the inhale, extend your right leg out behind you. And take care to keep your hips square to the floor rather than letting that right hip open. So as the hip points face the floor, those toes point down, squeeze your inner thighs towards each other, tone the lower belly. And as you're ready, extend your left arm forward and breathe. Toes spreading, tummy toning. You start to discover where you need to shore up and strengthen so balance feels a little better. Spreading toes, squeezing thighs helps. Keeping your eyes on a steady point. And so that it doesn't feel so hard and tough, soften between the shoulder blades. Exhale, release. Good, that was a long hold. Inhale, extend the left leg behind you, and you make sure to square the hips to the floor. Spread the toes. Squeeze those inner thighs towards each other, and that's going to help you find your tummy and tone it. And very slowly extend right arm forward, thumb to the sky. The thumb to the sky is just a sweet way to set up the upper arm bone in the shoulder socket. Brooding through the mound of the left index finger so that the wrist doesn't feel achy or painful. You're distributing the weight, creating a strong foundation. Because sometimes balance doesn't work because our foundation isn't set. Think of like a Jenga game. Exhale, release. Long holds, I know. Strong arms, and by that I mean you press down through the mound of the index finger, mound of the thumb, mound of the pinky, and outer heel of the hand. Keep the arms straight as you relax between the shoulder blades. Then lift up and back, downward dog. Deep breath. So sometimes in the beginning of a yoga practice, our muscles have just tightened up so much since the last time we did our yoga that it takes a moment for the breath to really start moving and oxygenating all the muscles. Because the muscles that haven't been getting fully oxygenated, they become stagnant. They start to atrophy. We're not using them, breathing into them. On the next breath, on the inhale, shift forward to plank. Might need to wiggle toes back. Hold one deep breath. It's nice to start balancing with all limbs or foundations on the floor, hands and feet. And then exhale, release. Wonderful. We're going to give the shoulders a tiny break. Lift the right arm high to the sky and thread the needle. Right elbow to the floor, or maybe the shoulder. Breathe. Knowing that if your head and right shoulder don't make it to the floor, that's when you can use a block, a yoga block, or a yoga pillow, or, well, yoga pillow, just a pillow, underneath the head, because I don't want your head hanging here. I want you to feel really supported and comfortable. If you're doing well, continuing to keep that outer left hip anchored back, wrap the left arm behind you. But very important to maintain integrity in the pose, keeping the head of the left shoulder back. If you find that the reach of your left hand across for that right hip compromises the alignment of the left shoulder and it rounds forward, don't go so deep. Simply slide your hand to mid-back and then work on drawing head of the shoulder back, or maybe even the left hip. On the exhale, unwind. Next side, lift the left arm high and thread the needle. Oh, such a good pose to get rid of the tension in the upper back. I like to keep the right fingers on the floor initially. That way you have leverage. You have your right hip anchored back, right fingers pressing down, and you draw the head of the right arm bone back. And you breathe. Steady breath. And if you're feeling okay, you wrap that right arm behind you. On the exhale, slowly unwind. Come back to table. From table, strong arms. Soften between shoulder blades. and lift up and back, downward dog. And this should start to be feeling or becoming more breathable. Downward dog, widen your feet to be as wide as your sticky mat. And bend both knees a good 10 to 12 inches. As you bend your knees, look between your hands and roll the sit bones to the sky. Kind of like a frog dog, a little combination of acting like a frog and a dog. As you push your hands down and away from you, lengthen from the base of the heart to the hips, and then start to stretch the legs straight, toning the lower belly. And on the next breath, you're going to very slowly bring your feet hip distance wide and come back to table. Okay, in table, shirt's falling off. You're going to lift that right leg up high to the sky once again. This time, we're going to get into the outer hip muscles and strengthen them a little more. So what I invite you to do is you're going to keep your hips level to the ground, your right knee and toe pointing to the floor, and widen your right leg to the right only so far that you can keep knee and toes pointing down. Don't widen so far that you've got to turn your leg out. You want knee and toe facing the ground. So tummy's toned. You widen your right foot to the right. You can double check that knee and toes are pointing down, and then come back to center. And we do that 2 more times. So you lift your right leg behind you. You widen it out to the side, knee and toes pointing down, and back. 1 more time, widen. So we're firing the outer hip muscles, gluteus medius, and back. And then release. Extend the left leg behind you. Knee and toes are pointing down. So it's a simple matter of rotating your thigh and hip in. As you spread your toes wide, that creates a healthy boundary so we don't overreach, and widen. Only so far, and that might be like an inch. And come back to the center. I just remembered I forgot to put the garbage cans out. I think I hear the garbage truck. And widen. I was too excited about yoga club. And come back. And then last time, widen that left leg off to the left. And come back to the center. Release the left leg down. Take 1 breath. And lift up and back. Downward facing dog. Okay. Now here in downward dog, we're going to play a little bit. You can stay in this nice long dog, or you can always make it shorter. And when I say shorter, I mean you could go more to like a forward bend for the next thing we're going to do. From downward dog, tentatively experiment. You're hugging the forearms towards each other. Come up onto the right fingertips. So this is a play of balance. In order to come up onto the right fingertips, you can't have all of your weight on that right hand. You have to shift to the left a little. You have to hug your left arm into the center midline. So there's that shoring up of strength. You still have to stay somewhat soft in the heart or between the shoulder blades so you don't feel too tense. And as you lift your right hand up, see if it can hover over the floor for a second. And then down. Shift the weight a little to the right, hugging the arm towards the head. See if you can come up to the left fingertips. Maybe lift that left hand up. And then back down. And then slowly, let's walk the feet forward. Come to a forward fold, Uttanasana. Already the body beginning to release and open. Bend knees 2 inches. Lift and spread the toes. And pressing those fingers into the floor, stretch the legs a little straighter. Release the toes. Again, bend the knees 1 inch or 2. Lift and spread the toes. As you press the fingers down, stretch the legs straighter. Release. Last time, bend the knees. Lift and spread those toes. Stretch the legs straight. Release. And then on the inhale, bring the hands to the hips, shoulder blades onto the back. Lift sides of the neck and come all the way up. Oh, can you feel how much better the body is already feeling? Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Hold on to that left wrist and lengthen up and to the right. Oh, we're opening all the muscles around the lungs that get really tight, the intercostals between the ribs, the pectorals, the chest, the upper back, the lats. Inhale, come back, trapezius. Hold on to the right wrist and lengthen up and to the left. You're hugging your arms to the midline, gently, gently pressing that left shoulder blade forward. And then inhale back through center and slowly release. Widen your feet to be wider than your hips. Interlace the fingers behind the back. So it could be, a 3-foot stance. Doesn't have to be too wild, but wild enough. Inhale, lengthen from the hips to the underarms. Draw the shoulder blades towards one another. And on the next exhale, fold forward. And bend your knees a few inches just to make sure that you've got the tilt in the hips and pelvis. I'm just going to show you here, because if you try to round forward and your back is rounding, you're not going to get the shoulders stretched. So bending the knees enables you to tilt the pelvis in such a way that releases the spine, helps lengthen the hamstrings to make this more accessible. Keep your head heavy, your neck long. Draw your shoulder blades towards the sky, and then you start to bring your arms towards the floor, but never compromising the integrity of the shoulder blades drawing up towards the sky. It's not a race to get the hands to the floor. You stretch your legs straighter over time as long as you can maintain the length in your back and you're not rounding it mid-back. If you feel like you round at the mid-back when you stretch the legs straighter, simply bend the knees. And hold one more breath. This feels so good. And remember, if your hands can't find each other, you can always use a belt here. On the inhale, lift now. You root down through the feet, lift the sides of the neck, the head of the shoulders to come all the way up. And release the hands. Wonderful. With feet beneath the hips, reach the arms overhead. This helps. If you ever come up too quickly and you don't have toned muscles around the neck, this room might spin. And then exhale, release. Wonderful. We'll do good old tree pose. So for a tree, you do want to make sure those outer hip muscles are working. And I'm feeling called to, I'm going to grab my blanket. If you have something that will slide on the floor, grab it. And if you're not on a wooden floor, there are different things you can use, like a paper plate. Or I have a teacher, she makes something called valve slides that you can use on the floor, and it helps. And what we're going to do is we're going to just get those outer hip muscles firing a tiny bit more. So you'd stand, and again, if you don't have a smooth floor, you can just kind of play with this with paper plate or like a sheet of a magazine underneath your foot on the carpeting, and it'll help. You're going to be standing, one foot off of the slippery surface, the other one on it, and you're going to bend your knees and slide your left foot out just maybe 10 to 12 inches and come back. Now, here's the important thing to notice. When I do this, it's really about sticking my butt back, like I'm going to sit onto a chair. That way my standing knee does not go past the toes. So I bend my knees, stick my bottom back, and as I move my inner thighs back, I slide my foot out as much as I'm comfortable with it, and I squeeze my butt to help me come back up. It's a great hamstring strengthener, inner thigh, adductor, and abductor. We'll do 2 more. Slide it out and come back to the center. And one more time, as you're bending your knees, you're sticking your body back behind you like you're sitting on a low chair so the knee doesn't go past the toes, and come back. You squeeze together, and we'll switch. So other foot on blanket or paper plate or magazine. As you bend your knees, stick your bottom back. And if you get stuck somewhere with the knee bending and the hip moving back, but you've got a lot of wiggle room, just stay here. Don't feel like you got to push it. The other important aspect to this is when I bend my knee and I slide I'm mirroring for you, your right foot out. I could, if I wanted to, lift this foot up. There's not much weight on it. And then come back. 2 more. As you bend your knees, stick your bottom out, slide that blanket away, and then squeeze back to center. One last time. Bend the knees, stick the bottom out, and then squeeze back to center. And then we'll just slide that blanket out of the way. Okay. Now for tree pose. You should feel your outer hip muscles warm and they're ready to work. Supporting leg will be our left leg. So bring your left foot forward just a little. Heel can be on the floor, toes spreading. Lift that left foot, draw the leg into socket and plant. So it's just a little bit of an exaggeration of getting the leg solid and steady in the joints. Then right foot can come heel to inner ankle, foot to inner thigh, or you can slide the foot a little higher. Now the interesting thing is we haven't done a lot of hip openers. So to come up to this fuller expression, you might feel the tension and tightness in the inner thigh. And you just take note, like, that's interesting. That makes it trickier to balance when I'm super tight there. So do hug your outer hips to the midline, tone your belly, moving the waistline back. Hands to Anjali. We're going to take 2 more breaths so you can even playfully experiment with stretching the arms to the sky. And then exhale, release. Weight supported by right leg, bring right foot forward, spread those toes, draw the leg into socket and plant. So I make sure my foundation is good. My knees and toes pointing forward. I bring left heel to inner shin, ankle, or maybe thigh. Maybe you notice this leg is a little more open, maybe tighter. Hug the inner thighs towards each other. Tone the belly. And you bring the hands to Anjali. And you realize that if you grip too hard, it knocks you off center. If you lose a beautiful arch in your supporting right foot, it knocks you off. Stretch the arms to the sky, thinking about lengthening from the back of the waist up to the thumbs as we did a little earlier. And then exhale, release. 2 more poses, coming to the top of your mat. On the inhale, sweep the arms high to the sky. And on the exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen the spine forward. Exhale, step back, plank pose. From plank, lift up and back, downward facing dog. From downward dog, warrior 1. Inhale, lift the right leg high to the sky, and then big kick, swing it forward. Start just in the high lunge. We're gonna work our way up. So what you're doing is you're taking a moment to open up inner thighs, hips, outer hips, so that you'll notice tree pose. When we do it one more time, will be a lot easier. Swivel your back foot flat. Your feet are hip distance wide. And as you push down through the feet, lift the chest and sweep the arms high. Take 1 deep breath like this. Then on the exhale, bring the hands to the floor. We're going to stay with right leg forward, but spin the left heel to the sky. Lower the left knee down. And then heel toe, walk that right foot 1 inch or 2 to the right and bring right hand to the inside of that right leg. Your left toes are curled under, and your weight is more towards the base of your thigh rather than on your kneecap. So it's a nice low lunge. Press right foot down, base of left thigh, and isometrically draw them towards one another. If you're feeling okay here, walk your hands forward a hand length. And now you have options. You can stay right where you are, Still hugging your outer left shin and stabilizing so you can release with ease or easier. You have the option of walking your hands diagonally to the left and maybe lowering left elbow and right. You have the option of staying in the center, so your right hand closer to the right foot, and lowering left elbow and then right. It just depends what your body's up for. And last deep breath, maybe you lift that back knee up towards the sky. Deep, deep breath. On the exhale, lower the knee. You're gonna bring your right foot back into its original spot, hip distance wide, come up to the high lunge. One more warrior one, swivel the right foot flat, push through the feet, lift the chest and sweep the arms high. And on the exhale, hands to the floor, step back, downward dog. We switch. Inhale, lift the left leg high to the sky. And then big kick, swing the foot forward between the hands. And you just pause in the high lunge. And breathe. You can even playfully rock forward and back a little. It's kind of checking in. Muscles, how are you? Are you breathing? And then from here, you're going to swivel your back foot flat. The feet are hip distance wide. As you push down through your feet, you lift the chest and you sweep the arms high. Warrior one, one deep breath, just noticing how are my hips, my inner thighs, my back. And on the exhale, hands back to the floor. Swivel that right heel back to the sky so you're in the high lunge. Then lower the right knee down. So again, my hip isn't over my knee. I'm not on that right kneecap, but instead my hips are forward. My weight is more towards the base of the right thigh. Hug your outer right shin in. And then as you're here, it's always a dance. The yoga poses, life isn't happening to us. So when things feel out of balance and out of harmony, and pain occurs, right? Whether it's pain of feeling like, I overstretched my budget, or the pain of, I stayed up too late and I'm exhausted today. You have the choice to make a shift, to change things, to pay attention to the pain rather than just pushing through and forcing through the moment. So as you press your left foot down and right knee, you isometrically draw them towards each other. When I say right knee, I really mean the base of the thigh. Bring that left hand to the inside of the left foot. You can even wiggle the left foot an inch or two to the left just for more breathing room. And again, press left foot, base of right thigh down. Isometrically draw foot and knee towards each other so you feel that engagement. Life's not happening to you, but you're participating. Walk your hands forward, maybe one hand length. So you're just getting length in the spine. And then from here, options. You can diagonally walk your hands to the right and playfully experiment with right elbow down and left. Maybe you bring your arms more towards the middle of your sticky mat. Final 2 breaths. You always have the option to make it a little spicier by lifting right inner thigh so that the knee floats up off the floor. Right toe is still spreading, right heel pointing to the sky because I'm hugging outer shin in. And on the exhale, lower that back knee. Come back up to your hands and bring left foot back to its original spot. Move into the high lunge. Swivel the right foot flat. One more time, warrior one. Inhale, sweep the arms high. And on the exhale, hands to the floor and slowly step forward, forward bend. Deep breath. On the next inhale, bring hands to the hips, root down through the feet, lift sides of the neck, head of the shoulders. Come all the way up. One last time for tree pose. You should notice a difference. It should be a little easier with the opening of the hips. Here it goes. Weight on the left foot, right heel either to inner ankle, shin, or inner thigh. Aha, so now you're not fighting against the pull and the tension of tight muscles. But you created that release and that opening through a few hip opening poses, thigh opening. You created stability by working the muscles, toning and strengthening them, firing them to wake them up. And you keep your gaze on the focus, or your focus on your gaze on the goal. Holy cannoli. Thinking of all these metaphors at once. Exhale, release. So much easier, huh? Okay, left foot supports you, right heel to ankle, shin, or thigh. You never want to place the foot, directly against the inner knee. Because knees don't like to go sideways. They're not meant to go sideways. So you press foot and inner right leg towards one another. Lengthen from the back of the waistline to the thumbs, even as you relax the shoulder blades. A few more breaths. It's a dance, it's a balance. We want to strengthen and lengthen our muscles. Exhale, release. Okay, one sun salute. Inhale, sweep the arms high. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen the chest forward, and on the exhale, step back, plank pose. And from plank, lower through chaturanga to the belly. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward dog. And from downward dog, child's pose. Big toes together, knees wide, hips towards heels, forehead towards floor. And breathe. Knowing that if your forehead doesn't get to the floor, you can stack your hands, you can place the pillow or a yoga block under the head. And just take a few breaths here. Imagining a little eject button in the center of the forehead. And any of the thoughts that aren't serving you right now, any of the worries, the fears, the doubts that have bubbled to the surface, release them to the earth, where they will be recycled into something of great beauty. And then imagine beautiful golden light washing over the whole body with a little bit of blue. And then in your time, very, very slowly come up to seated. You're welcome to take a Shavasana if you have the time for it. Otherwise, thank you so much for playing yoga with me today, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Namaste. Have an incredible day, guys. Thanks for playing.